Been a while, but welcome back to another deck profile, this time featuring terriermon and the new starter deck. Very cute deck, seems like a lot of fun and looking forward to the new support. But without further ado, let's go into the deck profile. Starting off with the eggs, I'm running 4 copies of the new starter deck Gummymon. I feel like this is a pretty obvious choice. When attacking, if we have a green tamer, draw one. So pretty consistent draw support. We run a good number of tamers in the deck, and we have a good amount of ways to search tamers. So yeah, running this is a no-brainer. I do own a 5th egg, which is 1 copy of the EX5 Terriermon. It has the all turns inheritable that when this Digimon is suspended, it gets plus 1000 DP. This effect is common. A common inheritable in the archetype. You'll see multiple Digimon have this effect, but it can't hurt to have an extra 1000 on top of that, right? And personally, with the amount of egg hatching we can potentially do, I like 5 eggs, but if you prefer 4, I would just go with the Gummymon as the 4 eggs. For the level 3s, starting off with 4 copies of the starter deck Terriermon. It's a really solid card. It has the effect once during your turn during the main. You can play a green tamer or Lopmon for 2 less cost. This is really good because it helps you get your tamers out early. It's also nice that it doesn't need to suspend itself for anything in order to do this. And again, it has the inheritable while suspended. All turns it gets plus 1000 DP, just like the Terriermon egg. Consistent card, good at what it does. It works well with one tamer in particular, makes it a lot better, but it works well with all your green tamers, so it's very nice. Definite 4 of. Next up, running 4 copies of the EX4 Terriermon. This is the searcher of the deck. Revealed top 4 at a 2-colored green card, which is pretty much all our level 4 and aboves. And he also grabbed one of Henry Wong Tamer. So this is good, it potentially grabs us 2 cards. It's inheritable, is nice with Alliance, but we don't run a lot of Alliance in this deck, so it's unlikely to come up. But it can, potentially. But we mainly just run it for the search effect anyways. There's only 2 Terriermons in the game that search, so there's not really much competition. Next up, we run 2 copies of the BT3 Terriermon. This is the memory blocker, so the opponent can't gain memory except with tamers. We mainly run this because it's part of archetype, and we can, digivolve onto it and play it for free, etc. It's good against some matchups, bad in others, but I feel like 2 is a solid number considering, it's not just a random memory blocker, it's a Terriermon, works with all the Terriermon stuff. Our last level 3 is 2 copies of the new SD17 Lopmon. This one, during the main, can give one of our Digimon Alliance, which is really good. Considering we can play it for either 1 or for free. It's just nice that we can give our other stack Alliance and Alliance with this Lopmon. We won't be digivolving it in raising area or digivolving onto it as often, but it's a solid card, more for the utility it gives, which is why I just run 2. Moving on to the level 4s, we run 4 copies of the new Rapidmon, level 4 Rapidmon. It's Armor Purge and it's a blocker, and with its all turns effect, it effectively makes it like an 11k attacker, because when it attacks, we can give something minus 4k, and it gives the security minus 4k as well. And also, if we suspend ourselves by blocking, we also give something, the same thing, we give a minus 4k. So it's really nice for blocking and attacking. And it has no reliance on tamers, unlike the old one. It also has an inheritable still of the plus 1000 while suspended. So overall, just a solid card, both for attacking and blocking. Next up, running 3 copies of the old BT8 Rapidmon. Its effect's still strong. We can suspend an opponent's Digimon for each tamer we have, and then up to 3 of the suspended Digimon get minus 5,000. This Digimon is 1,000 DP weaker, but it gives minus 5 instead of minus 4. So it's good for removal, especially against wide boards. However, it is reliant on us having tamers or them already being suspended to maximize its effect. And it's not a blocker like this one, so once it's used its effect, it doesn't actually do that much on the field. So I feel like this one is better because it's useful in a lot more scenarios. This one's really good in certain scenarios. So I run 3 copies of the BT8 Rapidmon. Final level 4 is 3 copies of the starter deck Gargamon. This one can, when it's suspended, give something jamming, normally itself, so it basically has jamming. The same inheritable plus 1,000 while suspended. The main reason I run it is that this is literally the only Gargomon in the deck, which is important for one of the cards that will come up later. Unlike all the other 4s and 5s that are Rapidmon, this is the only one that's actually called Gargomon. And it only costs 2 to Digivolve, so it is cheaper than the others. Especially on Lopmon. The armies will cost 4 to Digivolve on Lopmon, but this Gargomon will still cost 2. So I feel like you have to run at least 2 copies. If you want, you can run 4 of this Rapidmon and drop this down to 2 to run a 4-4-2 split. But that's the only real change you would make with level 4s. For the level 5s, most people run 4 copies, but I'm just running 3 copies of the new starter deck of Rapidmon. It's a solid card. On play when Digivolving, we just Digivolve 1, no conditions. And then if we have a green tamer, we can't be deleted or returned to the hand or the deck until the end of that turn. This is really nice, because when we go into this, not only is a Digivolve a nice effect, it makes this really hard to get rid of for the turn, except by attacking into it. And if they do attack into it, that's exactly what we want if we have the level 6 in our hand. So it makes it really hard for them to stop us going into our level 6. The Digivolve one also pairs nicely with the DP minus from either of our level 4 Rapidmons. Because let's say we give something minus 5,000. If they're level 5, it won't get rid of them. But if we Digivolve 1 and make him a level 4, then the minus 5,000 might just delete them by game mechanics. So it's a very solid card. The only reason I'm not running 4 copies is because after you play or Digivolve into it, it doesn't do anything else unless you go into level 6. And spoiler alert, there's only 4 level 6s in the deck. So it's just sometimes this card doesn't do a lot after it's been played. Unlike these Rapidmons that have Armor Purge, this doesn't, so it's not something I always want to go up into. Once we get a new good level 6 next set with Rapidmon X, then this is definitely going back up to 4. But at the moment, I feel like 3's enough, and we have so many cards that can search. I ended up seeing it when I need it anyways. I am running another level 5 as a tech choice, so I am still running 4 level 5s in total. But we don't actually need a lot of level 5s in this deck. For level 6s, we run just the one card, which is 4 copies of Mega Gargamon Ace. This card does it all for the deck. It's got blocker and reboot. When Digivolving, we can suspend and stun 2 of our opponent's Digimon or Tamers. And not only that, they can't unsuspend or Digivolve. Which means what we suspend can't attack, and they can't just Digivolve onto it to do anything else. Against a hybrid deck, if we use this effect on the Tamers, they can't Digivolve hybrids onto the Tamers, which is also like another important factor if you're versing like Red Hybrid or something. It's really strong. It's also got when Digivolving and end of attack, you may unsuspend this Digimon. So if you blast Evo when they attack, you can use the when Digivolving effect to unsuspend, and then there's the blocker timing after that, so we can block afterwards. Also, it's a double attacker that can then reboot and block as well. Not only that, but it can digivolve on our Rapidmon in name for 5 cost, which means it can digivolve onto our level 4s for 5, and that means we can blast onto them as well. So that's the main way we go into this actually. If they attack and we have a level 4s, we can just blast Evo straight into our level 6. Obviously we do have that -4 overflow if it leaves the field, but being able to go from level 4 to a level 6 for free is insane, and it's probably the scariest part of facing this deck. Yeah, it really just does it all, and no reason not to run for this card. It's what the whole deck does at this point. Next, going on to the Tamers. Running 2 copies of the EX2 Henry Wong memory set of the deck, and if one of our Gargamon or Rapidmon attacks, we can suspend one of their Digimon. This is nice because we don't have as much suspending as you might think. It's actually only just this Rapidmon and the Mega Gargamon that suspend. The other ones don't actually suspend the opponent's Digimon, so this gives us a way to suspend. It's searchable with the terriermon. You can play Mimi as an alternative, but we don't have a high count of level 5 or higher Digimon. So I find that Henry Wong is a little better because it's a little bit more consistent with our low level game plan, and it's searchable. It also works nicely with the ace, because if the ace attacks, we can suspend something, then the ace will unsuspend, and we can attack whatever we just suspended. So it works well with that. The next tamer is just 1 copy of the SD17 Henry. This is a new one. Starter main, if they have a Digimon, gain a memory. And this is the one that lets you warp up straight from a Terriermon into a Mega Gargamon. By putting Gargamon and Rapidmon from your trash under it. The good thing about it, the amazing thing, is that it also gives the Digimon Rush, which means if we just played the Terriermon this turn, presumably with the double Typhoon option that I'll get into shortly, we can just play it that turn, go straight up into level 6, got Rush. It will cost 4, however, if we're set to 3, and then start a main phase gain 1, we should be at 4, so we should be able to do this and keep it our turn anyways. The reason I don't run multiple is because we only have 4 Mega Gargamons in the deck that can just regular Digivolve or Blast Evo anyways, and the main thing is we need one of these Gargamons in the trash, otherwise this card will never do anything. If you run 2 of it, it makes it harder to get into this too. I feel like it's a really solid card, but it's more like an emergency tool than like your actual game plan. Feel free to bump this up to 2 if you want to, but you're only going to use the effect like once in the whole game. So I feel like 1's fine. And it's searchable too. For final tamers is 3 copies of Willis, the good old BT8 Willis. I initially, like before the starter deck came out, I thought this tamer was bad. Because if you ever have to pay 3 memory to play this card, if you don't keep it your turn, its on-play effect's useless. There's no point hatching an egg and passing turn, because when it gets your next turn, you could have just hatched an egg anyways. And when digivolving, you can suspend it to reduce the digivolution cost by 1. That's always handy in the deck, of course. What makes this tamer better now is the starter deck Terriermon, who can potentially play this tamer for 1, which makes it obviously way easier to keep it your turn, hatch more eggs, get more of that rush, because it's more like champion rush style for this deck. And for that reason, I find 3 to be really good. You want 1 early game just to speed things up. So I run the 6 tamers. I feel like 6 is a good number. I would not go less than 6. We have a lot of abilities to search tamers, and this Rapidmon is stronger the more tamers you have, so I feel like 6 is the good number to run. But if you want, you can cut Willis down to 2 and put Henry up to 2. There's a couple other options too, but I feel like 6 is a good number. Going on to the options, we have 4 copies of the new option Double Typhoon. Obviously you have to kind of compare this to the memory boost and agility training, but Double Typhoon is a 3 cost. Top 3, grab a green Digimon and the green tamer. So the good thing about this is that we can potentially grab 2 cards from it. unlike the other searching options. And its delay effect lets us play a terriermon or lopmon from a hand for free. This again goes well with our rush style, get more bodies out, really good. Best pick is to bring out this lopmon with the effect, because then we can alliance whatever we moved out of like the breeding area or already had out on the field. Or we can bring out this terriermon to play a tamer for cheaper, we can play out this to search. A lot of good things we can do with this card. Not only that, it has a security effect that can actually save us. Because its security effect, we suspend 2 of our opponent's Digimon, then place this card in our battle area. So unlike the other search options, which will just go into our battle area and not do anything, this can actually protect us by suspending our opponent's Digimon too. So 4 of this means that we actually have a lot of protection from being like OTK'd in the deck. The next options I'm going to go through together for obvious reason. It's 1 copy of Green Memory Boost and 3 copies of Agility Training. Not much else to say. These kind of options are generic and they're good for a reason. Agility Training obviously can grab our other tamers, it can grab all our other options. The whole deck's basically green. So it's really good because it doesn't just have to grab Digimon. Impossible to whiff. Sometimes we like just having that extra memory rather than the ability to reduce evo cost. And this searches 4 instead of 3, so in emergency sometimes we just need a specific card and we want the memory, so sometimes the memory boost is better in this deck. You can feel free to change this. You can run 2 agility training, 2 memory boost, or just 4 agility training, 0 memory boost. Up to you. 4 is plenty. With 4 double typhoon and 4 search options, it makes up for a lack of good level 5s and 6s by just being able to like power search everything we need. Like the searching power with 8 searching options is just crazy. Moving on to the next 2 cards, I run 1 copy of Giant Missile. I feel like it's a good card, emergency button. Obviously we want this in our security if possible because it's amazing. But yeah, it's just a good option. Not only can we suspend a Digimon and then return a suspended Digimon to the bottom of the deck, we also stun one of the suspended Digimon too, that it can't unsuspend. So not only can this get rid of a body, it can also affect 2 Digimons, so we can bottom deck 1, make 1 can't unsuspend. And that's really good because even if they have protection, we can potentially stun them. And yeah, I think it's a nice option, but you know, obviously we don't want to be spending 8 memory very much nowadays, except if it's, you know, we're going to lose if we don't use it, so I feel like 1 Giant Missile is plenty. Actually, I put it here. There you go. Then another removal card is 1 copy of Heaven's Judgment. Just like Giant Missile, we're not going to be using this often, but it is very strong. As you can see, all of our level 4 and higher are dual color, so it'll be very easy to use. If we just have like a yellow and green, we can do -6,000 3 times. And if we happen to have yellow and black on the field, we can do -6,000 4 times. So it's a good removal card. You can potentially run 2 Giant Missile if you like instead, or no Giant Missile, 2 Heaven's Judgment. I'm running 1 of each because they have pros and cons in different matchups. Like some matchups, Heaven's Judgment is better. Some matchups, Giant Missile is a bit better. If you don't like running this, don't like running a lot of security bombs, you can take 1 out and just run 1. If you're running just 1, I'd probably go Giant Missile because it's searchable with agility training, so it's a little easier to find. But Heaven's Judgment is good because actually, with the other DP minus, it can stack and do a lot of damage too. So I'm running 2 removal options, but you can reduce this to 1. I would highly recommend at least 1 though. These are what I consider the core cards of the deck. If you might notice, we are short of 50. This is actually only 45 cards. So this is more like the filler cards or my choices, and I'm going to offer more choices afterwards too. But I feel like these cards are pretty set ratios. Again, you can take out one Gargamon for one Rapidmon, and this Rapidmon can go up to 4. Take out a Willis for Henry. Other than that, it's pretty much set ratios for these cards, I feel like. Going on to my last 5 cards, which are spicy tech choices. First of all, one copy of HPD. This card, I don't see people running this, but I feel like it's still really good. If we're not bringing out the Lopmon for free and giving Alliance, whatever we bring out with the Double Typhoon probably won't be suspending in any way. So we can just suspend the terriermon that we bring out with Double Typhoon in order to use this. This will let us go from a level 4s to a level 5s for free. And more importantly, it lets us go into our Mega Gargamon for free. Because it digivolves for 5 onto one of our level 4 Rapidmons. But this reduces the cost by 5, so it will still make it free. Even if we have to suspend our level 4 to go into this, Mega Gargamons, when digivolving, will make it unsuspend anyway, so we can still attack that turn. So overall usefulness is like, we don't really want to suspend stuff, but the ability to have a free Evo, I feel like it's too good to pass up. We're not always going to be blast digivolving, so why not just make it free, The next card is one of the green hybrids, just choosing Arbamon. Hybrid for game. We run 6 Tamers, and this can just help us get game. We want to hit fast with this deck, try and just constantly attacking with armor, with jamming. If the opponent attacks us back, we've got the Blast Evo and everything. But yeah, I think Arbamon's good. And again, we have 8 options that search any green Digimon, right? So it's really easy to find this. Like, sure, it might end up at the bottom of your deck or be in security, can't do anything about it, but it's very searchable, and I feel like, the ability to attack for game with a hybrid is nice to have in the deck. Next up, this is not spicy, it's pretty boring, it's just another copy of Terriermon. I feel like with the 3 Willis and the 4 Double Typhoon, we want lots and lots of Terriermons. And sometimes we don't want to use our search options to grab Terriermons, we want to grab the other stuff. So I felt like adding a 13th rookie, because Lopmon again is more a utility card, so we actually only run 10 Terriermons in the deck. So I was thinking maybe running 11 Terriermons. This is the other searcher that grabs top 5. So we reel one more than this, but I can't grab a Tamer. So I want to try the 13th rookie in this deck. I do run one level 7, which is the Quartzmon. We only run 4 level 6s, so we don't want a lot of level 7s in the deck. But I feel like Quartzmon's too good to pass up. It's so strong against a number of decks. Especially if I don't have the right removal, we can stun lock him for a bit. All we need is one turn of him stun locking the opponent, and we can potentially get game attack. Hopefully, there's enough suspended on the field that we can trash security. That could be game. The turn after we go Mega Gargamon, we can swing with Mega Gargamon, end of attack, unsuspend, go into Quartzmon, maybe use agility training or memory boost so it keeps our turn, suspend everything, attack, trash security, hit. That's a good way to get game as well. You don't need to run it if you don't want to. I just feel like it's a really strong card in general. And lastly, because I said I was running one more level 5 instead of running 4 Rapidmon, is one copy of Chimeramon. This is something I don't see anyone else running. So maybe I'm completely off base by actually putting it in the deck at all. But I feel it's got a lot of potential. We run a lot of level 4s, so we can DNA them into Chimeramon. We have yellow and black, so it's not too hard to make Chimeramon a 4-color Digimon with white, yellow, green, black. And yeah, it's good. It works well with the DP minus, because if we give something minus 4,000 or 5,000, go into this. If it's 4 colors, we give 4 of the Digimon another minus 4,000. This just helps us board wipe extra good. We can even just regular Digivolve into it to do that effect. Although, unlike Rapidmon, we have to be wary that this doesn't have any protection on it for the turn. But it can be 12k, so we can just swing at stuff with the 12k Chimeramon, which is nice. We can still blast Evo onto it because it will be green. So they might be like, oh, just swing into Chimeramon during their turn, it's only 8,000. Blast Evo anyways. Yeah, so yeah, I like it because it offers more DP minusing to the deck. And, you know, we can potentially DNA into it, get an extra swing for game, or just hit another security. So I'm running Chimeramon instead of a 4th copy of Rapidmon. So that's it for the main part of the deck profile. I feel like the list is pretty standard, except for, again, the last 5 cards. But yeah, there's a couple of options, and it's cool seeing other people's choices for the deck. Some people like to run more level 6 just rather than the Ace. And the 2 best level 6 options are the EX4 Black Mega Gargamon and the EX2 Mega Gargamon. These are pretty much the best choices for level 6. The Black Mega Gargamon is still a dual color green Digimon, so it's still searchable by Terriermon and all the other stuff. It's not too bad defensively. It can give block a reboot. Its alternate effect kinda makes it a double blocker or double attacker. So in that way, it can attack twice, similarly to Mega Gargamon. However, the Digivolving for 4 isn't the best thing, and but it's an option. If we run 4 Rapidmon, this goes well on top of Rapidmon, because not only will it have like block a reboot, but also for the turn can't be deleted by card effects or returned to hand or deck. So it's a strong card in that sense. This Mega Gargamon can stun as many Digimon as you have Tamers, and when attacking you can bounce something with equal less DP. And with the Inheritables, will probably be really beefy when we attack. Obvious downside is that it costs 5 to Evo, which is terrible. However, if you warp into it with the Henry Tamer, it will still cost 4, and it'll have Rush. So this is a potential card to warp into. The cards do have pros and cons, but I feel like that neither of them are that good enough. Level 6s were always the weakest part of the deck. But feel free, if you want to add one of these, because the deck desperately needs more level 6s, and we don't have Rapidmon X to next set. So if you want to, you can add one of these. Carrying on with the Spice, the only other green tamer I would consider running is the old starter deck, ST4 Izzy. Because Terriermon plays a tamer for 2 less, Terriermon, the starter deck Terriermon, can actually just play Izzy for free. And then whenever we suspend opponent's Digimon during our turn, we can gain a memory. So I feel like it's nice because we can play it for free. However, sometimes with this, we Digivolve and suspend during their turn, so we won't be able to gain the memory effect. The card's good, but I feel like it just doesn't give enough. And memory isn't a problem with the deck. We can reduce Evo, we have a lot of options that we can use to reduce Evo cost or gain memory. So I feel like this isn't a problem. However, if you do want to increase the tamers from 6 to 7, this is a solid choice for an extra tamer that's cheap to use, just to increase your tamer count. Next of all is good old Kellymon from EX2. We'll often have Terriermon on the field just by moving it out or playing it for free with Double Typhoon. So it's pretty easy to play this for 1 cost rather than 3. And then when we just Evo on a Terriermon, we can spend this to gain a memory, draw 1, and give it 3,000. So this will pretty much pay for itself instantly as long as you Evo on the same turn. And not only that, you give it plus 3,000, which mainly allows these 2 Rapidmons to punch over even bigger things. The plus 3,000 isn't really needed for Gargamon because it's got jamming anyways. And then it puts a target. If they don't get rid of it, we can, every time we Digivolve, we'll get that draw 1, gain a memory as well. And the main way of removing it, they might just attack into it, but then we'll Blast Ace. That gives us a Blast Ace opportunity. So I feel like Kellymon could be solid as a one-off in the deck, just to pay for itself and give us a DP boost. The downside is we have 8 cards that search green Digimon, so we'll be bottom decking this a lot of the time. It's really cool when you open it, but we have other consistency tools, and unfortunately it's just not searchable, and doesn't offer enough. If it was a green Digimon, I would add it 100%. Like 1,000% I would add this if it was green and we could search it. But yeah, it's a little option as a one-off if you want to. You could take out, like I have the 13th terriermon, you could take that out for this. I have also seen some people run more level 4s, not counting the hybrid, because we mainly just want to go into that for game. But some people run 11 Rapidmon and Gargamons, so you run 4-4-3. So you feel free to take out one of these tech choice cards or the big removal cards for 4th level 4 as well. The final card is Fire Rocket. I see some people loving this card in this deck and other people hating it. If we have an armor form, we ignore color requirements, and obviously this goes best if we run 4 Rapidmon, 4 of each Rapidmon. Then running Fire Rocket seems pretty good, and just gives us security attack +1. I feel like it's not as good in this deck as it is in the Vmon armor deck, because in the Vmon armor deck you ran Vmon with jamming, so if your armor form died, your Vmon with jamming would do the second check. Meanwhile, if we have a terriermon doing a second check, we're going to die to anything that's a Digimon, basically. And secondly, the Vmon armor deck has the Magnamon BT8 that can unsuspend, whilst we don't have that unsuspending ability. Because the good thing about the Vmon deck is if you did die, but the Vmon lived, then you can go Magnamon, unsuspend, attack again, and you still have the Fire Rocket, but you don't have it in this deck. So I feel like it's a cool card, but it's not as good as this deck as it is in that deck, and that deck doesn't even run it all the time anymore. So if they don't run it in the Vmon deck, I don't know why we're running it that much in this deck. I think we're just desperate for options, I think, until we get BT16. But it's still a nice card, so feel free to run it at 1 or 2 copies, just to increase like how fast you can take the opponent out. But yeah, hope you enjoy the deck profile. It's a bit longer because it's just going through all the options. I probably need time to experiment and give it more shot, and I'm very looking forward to the next BT16 to improve the deck. Rapidmon X fixes a lot of problems with the lack of high end in the deck. Feel free to comment anything if you like the deck profile or have any suggestions, and I'll see you next time.